Hello everyone, welcome to Lent at Saints Anargyroi 2021. This time we'll be featuring Lagana, which is the traditional bread of Cathari, which is tomorrow. So this is Sunday night before we start Great and Holy Lent tomorrow. And so I have a little bit of a twist for everyone on Lagana. It's going to be prepared a little bit more of French preparation, I guess, and since I've been into sourdough lately, we'll be using our sourdough starter, Sir Rise a Lot here, who, as you can see, is already risen at least 2x with this line sort of showing how much it's risen. There are plenty of ways to make Lagana using just yeast. There's some great Greek recipes online. This one specifically will follow a naturally leavened approach using the sourdough starter. So what we're doing here tonight, it's about 10 p.m. on Sunday night. We're preparing basically the pre-ferments for the bread. This is going to lend a lot of flavor, but also these are going to be the main rising agents. So this is where your yeast or your sourdough starter kind of get involved. And so the type of Lagana we'll be making has a specific shape that's called fougasse. It's a French type of preparation. Basically, it's similar to a baguette dough, but it's stretched into a sort of a different shape, but can still be traditionally considered Lagana because I think Lagana sort of encompasses a wide range of flatbreads. And while we do envision the sort of oval oblong shapes as being the traditional Lagana, this one is going to be a little different, but I think also a great flavor. So we're going to prepare two things. One is known as a pouliche, which is a sort of a French-style pre-ferment. The other one is the leaven, which is going to be sourdough-based. And so into the one jar, we're going to basically add flour, water at a specific temperature so we can control the fermentation, and about a tablespoon of the mature starter, which is what's over here. And that will form our leaven. And for the pouliche, we'll be adding also flour, water at around a 75 to 80 degree temperature, and commercial yeast, which I have in here. And that just lends a different flavor and different, you're obviously providing another rising agent for the bread. The pouliche is the standard pre-ferment that's traditionally used for baguettes. All right, so I've already mixed the pouliche over here, or I've added the ingredients. Again, flour, water at about 75 F. We have 200 grams of flour, 200 grams of water, and 3 grams of commercial instant yeast. And here, just to show you, I've started the sourdough. So it's about a tablespoon of the starter in here. And now we're going to go ahead and add 220 grams of all-purpose flour. So we get our flour from Central Milling, which is a pretty good company that makes all organic flours out in the Utah area. So we had these shipped to us, and we got a number of their flours, and they're pretty traditional throughout the baking industry. They're used in quite a few places. So you kind of need a scale for this. You need to measure your ingredients. The density is not the same if you were to use cups. So we have to kind of be precise here. So we got 220 grams of that. And we got the water, which we've already sort of checked the temperature. You can kind of use your thermal probe there. And we're about to add, 220 grams of water. So this is sort of a 1-to-1 type of ratio here. And so we're going to get that to the right. 420. All right. So we got that. So that's just again, flour, water, and starter in this one, and flour, water, and yeast in this one. And so what happens with the commercial yeast is that it acts a lot quicker. If the temperatures are the same, this will act a lot quicker, even just with only 3 grams, which is about half a packet, maybe a little less. It acts a lot quicker than the sourdough starter, which is a natural fermentation, natural yeast. The yeast is not quite as active as this optimal strain that's in the commercial kind. So what we basically will do in order to use these tomorrow morning is put the pouliche in the fridge to slow down the fermentation. We want it to approximately double, but you also want to be able to do the float test, which is essentially take a spoon of this and put it in a glass of water and it should float. Same thing with the leaven. The leaven we're going to leave out because it's going to take longer to get to the same consistency. So I usually use a chopstick, ironically, to mix these. and it helps you kind of get the sides. So you kind of mix these up. You want to make sure that no bits of dried flour remain. And then you're set. What I'm going to do is cap them, and I'm going to leave this leaven out, put this one in the fridge, and then we'll be back with you tomorrow morning to begin making the final dough and going through the bulk rise process. All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 2. It's about 8 a.m. We've had our leaven and pouliche going overnight. You can see these have risen quite a bit, and they're very sort of jiggly, jello-y, and they have a little bit different scents. One is more acidic, which is the sourdough-based leaven, and the other one, the pouliche, is a little fruitier. So you can tell you're working with different types of pre-ferment here. Here you have your large industrial bucket, because we will be making around 3 loaves of bread. So let's get started. So I have flour and water pre-measured. The water is 75 degrees. It's about a 50% hydration by Baker's percentage bread. So that means that 500 grams of water are being used relative to 1,000 grams of flour. And also we're using about 400 grams each of leaven and pouliche. I'm going to go ahead and add these in, and we'll be right with you. So we have the water and the leaven in here. So what we're going to do is everything's measured out. We're just going to stir to disperse. This is equivalent to like sort of mixing your yeast up with water the way you would normally do when you're starting bread. So you're doing the kind of the same thing here. You're dispersing everything. I don't have my scale anymore. So it's not going to ever be fully dispersed, but you try your best. And I got all the flour measured here. It's about 1,000 grams of flour. It's a mix of central milling artisan baking bread flour at about 200 to 300 grams, and then another high milling, central milling High Mountain, which is a high gluten flour for 100 grams, and then we have the all-purpose for 650 grams. So a total of 1,000 is what you're using here. So we kind of just add this all in, and then we're going to mix till no flour clumps remain and nothing is dry. It's going to get about a 40-minute rest, basically just sitting here covered, before we go ahead and pursue the bulk rise, which we'll show in a bit. All right, so here we are 4 hours later approximately. So this is the bulk dough that we've had rising for about 4 hours. What we did about every 30 minutes was to do a stretch and fold. You kind of fold and fold over just once per corner inside the bin, and you're building gluten strength by doing that. So after about 4 hours at 75 degrees, the bulk fermentation is complete. So what we're going to do right now is just divide it and roughly shape it into 2 like focaccia type loaves, which will become our Lagana essentially. And then we're going to do a bench rest for 30 minutes. So we have our floured countertop here. We're just going to try and divide this. All right, so we've had the bench rest, and we're about to shape these. What we're doing is sort of like a letter fold type of shaping. So you're kind of gonna like stretch this and then fold it over the middle, and then you're gonna like stretch. You're trying to not get the air bubbles out of the dough. You're stretching the right side here, getting that over the middle, and you do the same with the left. That over the middle. And then you do the same with the top here. And then I'm going to wet my hands a little and try and like press this seam here.